We uncovered a dark secret in the deep the military's shocking cover-up revealed. The ocean is a world wrapped in mystery, a place where light barely dances beneath the surface. But what if I told you that deep down, in the dark abyss, something unspeakably strange was hiding? What if I told you that the very waves that lull us to sleep at night also conceal secrets too terrifying to comprehend? This isn't just about a few strange fish or lost treasures. No, this is far deeper. The military has been harboring a secret, one that could send shockwaves through everything we thought we knew about our world. And it all began with a faint signal, one no one was meant to hear. Just last month, fishermen reported hearing unnatural sounds echoing through the waters near Tranquil Bay. Was it a ghostly whale song or an underwater monster begging for escape? Speculation ran wild. But the truth? It was far more unsettling. As experts rushed to investigate, they stumbled upon an unmarked military vessel, submerged, nearly invisible against the shadowy seabed. Its deck was stained red, but not just from rust. It seemed to carry tales of a chilling incident that had transpired right beneath the waves, an incident involving men in suits, strange equipment, and whispers of a test gone wrong. Tension gripped the air as eyewitness accounts began to surface. People spoke in hushed tones about flashes of light slicing through the night, followed by eerie silence. What had they witnessed? The hairs on the back of their necks stood up, breath catching in their throats as they recalled the fear that gripped them. The rumors spread, thickening like fog, a shadowy organization, a cover-up stretching far beyond the confines of the ocean's chill, sending shivers down the spine of a nation. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And then, there was the night of the storm. The waves roared, crashing like wild beasts against the rocky shore. Lightning revealed shadows of strange shapes moving, twisting, and reaching toward the surface. Eyes widened, gasping breaths filled the salty air. Something was out there. The comfort of folklore turned into dread when locals reported missing boats, as if they were drawn into a hungry maw beneath the sea. A voice echoed from those dark depths, a voice pleading or warning. Questions flooded minds. What lay beneath that serrated surface? Was it simply nature at work, or was there something even more ominous lurking below? The answer was as elusive as the creatures themselves. And one thing was clear: whatever they had uncovered was just the beginning. The storm had passed, but the air remained thick with an unsettling tension. The villagers of Tranquil Bay tried to go about their lives, but everywhere you looked, the whispers grew louder. Fishermen, once proud and hardy, now cast nervous glances over their shoulders as they launched their boats. The night the storm rolled in, something had changed. Something primal had been awakened beneath the waves that on the edge of the dock. Sarah, the local historian, paced nervously, her heart racing. Armed with a journal overflowing with clippings and hearsay, she was determined to uncover the truth. "There's more to this than meets the eye," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. She had spoken to the fishermen, heard their accounts. It was another level of fear. They described shadows moving together, almost orchestrated, as if they were alive and searching, hunting. Weeks of restless nights turned into fevered determination. In her search, Sarah pushed deeper. She pored over old government files and unearthed documents from decades past. What she discovered chilled her to the bone. References to experimental marine technology, secret operations in the depths of the ocean, and notes about something called Project Abyssal. The project had been deemed classified and disappeared from public records, leaving behind just fragments, a broken puzzle missing its key pieces. Fingers trembling, she examined a photograph that had made the rounds among old naval officers. A group of men in dark suits stood aboard a similar vessel, their faces obscured. But there, in the background, the sea roiled, thick and dark, almost as if it were alive. The caption read, "Testing phase." Then came the night when everything changed. Reports flooded and strange lights were seen dancing just beyond the horizon. Fishermen stumbled from their boats, stammering tales of unreal sounds resonating beneath the surface. It was chaos. Panic spread through the village like wildfire, and everyone felt it a gathering storm of unease, pushing them to question what they thought they understood about their tiny town and its watery surroundings. "Something is coming," Sarah whispered, her voice barely a breath. What was out there? Was it an ancient monster that had waited for the right moment to awaken, or was it the consequence of humanity's relentless tampering with nature? As that question loomed, Sarah felt an urgent pull, as if the abyss itself was calling her name. One foggy evening, she joined a small group of locals brave enough to go near the shore. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow, and the ocean twisted in the cold night air. Suddenly, a low, reverberating rumble rolled from the depths, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Gasps filled the air, eyes turned wide with fear. What had awakened? "Run!" someone screamed, but Sarah could not move. A lurking shape began to reveal itself through the murky water, a dark silhouette looming closer. It pulsed and shifted, soaking up the moonlight, and at that moment, every instinct told her to flee, yet her feet remained planted, instinctively drawn toward the unknown. As the ocean cracked open with a terrifying roar, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then came an explosion of light, a flash so bright it left her momentarily blinded. But when the light receded, something was there, something that shouldn't exist. What had they stirred in the deep? As darkness claimed the moment and the shadows crept closer, one thought gripped Sarah's mind: this was only the beginning. What lay beneath was no longer a mystery, it was a warning, and they had just stepped into its realm. The ocean stilled as the brilliant light faded. Sarah blinked against the darkness, her heart hammering in her chest. Confusion swirled in her mind as she adjusted to her surroundings. The silhouette held its ground, only now it shifted closer. Heavy breaths echoed around her. She could feel the weight of her neighbor's fear squeezing the air. "What is that?" whispered one of the locals, trembling in the glow of the moonlight. Their eyes were wide and glassy, reflecting the flickering shadows. Sarah felt their terror. It seeped into her skin like the salt from the water. With a chill running down her spine, she stepped closer to the water's edge. The surface danced, revealing chunks of something dark. Tentacles? No, couldn't be. Yet, the idea took root in her mind, blooming into dread. "Please," she murmured, willing herself to move, to take charge, but her feet felt rooted in the cold sand, paralyzed by curiosity and fear. Another burst of light illuminated the surface, this time not like a beacon, but more like a warning flare. From the depths, something bubbled up ominously. She glimpsed an outline, a massive, grotesque shape pulling away from the briny depths. A sharp gasp swept through the crowd. It felt like chills cascading down an icy hill. The moment stretched, a taut wire ready to snap. And then it did. The shape surged, breaking free from the water with a violence that sent waves crashing against the dock. Gasps erupted as nearly everyone stumbled back, eyes fixed on the impossible creature, a swirling mass of scales and shadow, glistening like obsidian. It was like something out of a nightmare, an ancient story desperate for flesh. "Get out of here!" a fisherman screamed, voice straining with urgency, breaking the spellbinding fear gripping them all. It was enough to rouse Sarah. Instinct kicked in, pushing her to turn, to run, but the sight before her chained her to the scene. "What the hell is that thing?" someone shouted. The questions hung in the air, unanswered. The beast roared a guttural sound that seemed to echo from the earth's very core. The ground shook beneath their feet, vibrating through the planks of the dock. Pieces of wood splintered, and Sarah's breath caught. They were no longer safe. An unseen barrier had been shattered. In their midst, murmurs erupted, men and women speaking in frantic whispers, filled with confusion and disbelief. "It has to be a figment of our imagination," someone declared, but Sarah could see the terror in their eyes. They all felt it, deep down. "Is it coming for us?" The fear ran deeper than the shallows of the bay, winding into their souls. Sarah's heart raced as she turned back to face the creature. Her thoughts whirled wildly. "This can't be happening. What did we awaken?" A flash of memory raced through her mind, an unshakable vision of the files she'd uncovered, the shadows from decades ago, the whispers of Project Abyssal, the experiments. It was all connected. And just like that, a realization crashed over her. This wasn't just a creature. It was a reckoning. Human ambition, folly, had summoned this titan. A deafening roar from the depths yanked her from her thoughts. Water cascaded around them like an avalanche, littering the ground with seaweed and brine. Searing panic clawed at her throat. "We have to warn everyone," Sarah shouted above the chaos. As if on cue, the figure surged again, breaking through the surface with a force that sent everyone sprawling across the dock. And then she heard a voice, no louder than a breath, soft and chilling. "You cannot escape." The words curled around her mind, a tether she couldn't break. The creature loomed closer, each movement slow, deliberate. Was it hunting? Or was it simply angry? A flash of realization struck Sarah. A plan was forming, a potential way to confront the monster beneath. But would they have enough time before it struck? The tide was turning, and so was her destiny. As the abyss beckoned her, no longer willing to let her go. What path would she choose, and what price would they have to pay to uncover the full truth that had so long remained hidden? The dock lay shattered beneath them, splintered wood and overturned crates scattered like broken dreams. Sarah could barely breathe, the air thick with salt and panic, a battleground where instincts warred against sheer terror. The silence following the creature's roar was deafening. Everyone stood frozen, their collective heartbeats echoing like war drums. "Run, now!" A woman screamed, her voice piercing the heavy gloom. But where would they run? There was nowhere to escape to. The creature blocked the way, its massive form looming over them like a living nightmare. It shifted, scales glinting under the moonlight, revealing rows of jagged teeth that seemed eager for a taste of flesh. The horror was all too real. Sarah felt the blood drain from her face, her pulse quickening as she felt the gaze of countless eyes upon her. "Sarah!" A voice cut through, sharp and familiar. It was Ben, her close friend who had stood by her through thick and thin. He crouched low, frantically gesturing at her to follow him. "We need to get to the lighthouse. It's our only chance." The lighthouse loomed in the distance, an aging sentinel that had witnessed storms and saviors alike. With a single breath, she tore her gaze away from the titan, forcing her legs to move, leading the frantic stampede toward safety. Each pounding footstep echoed a cacophony of desperation, building a rhythm of survival. But the creature was not finished. A tail, thicker than tree trunks and tipped with a jagged blade, lashed out from the depths, sending a shockwave through the crowd. People screamed as they were tossed aside like matchsticks. Sarah winced, casting a hurried glance back. No, not now. They had to keep moving. Vivid memories of those dark files flooded her thoughts again, whispers of the past entwining with the present. What had been created in the name of power and control? What darkness lurked in the depths of this creature? This was the reckoning of their actions, the manifestation of twisted ambition. Suddenly, the night was alive with movement. The creature undulated, tentacles unfurling like ribbons, each edge glistening with murky sea water and a silvery sheen. Sarah shuddered, feeling nauseous, but she pressed on, dragging Ben along as they approached the lighthouse. A flicker of hope ignited within her. "Grab that." She pointed to a dusty old boat half buried in sand at the foot of the lighthouse, its edges corroded but still intact. "We can use it to paddle out. Maybe we can outrun it." "Are you out of your mind?" he replied, eyes wide. "This thing is huge. It's better than just standing here." The urgency surged through her veins, urging her forward. Adrenaline pumped, each heartbeat a reminder of her fragile existence. They reached the boat and started to free it from its sandy grave, hands working feverishly against the creeping shadows behind them. But with every pull, the creature's bellow reverberated. It wasn't allowing them to escape so easily. The air grew cold and thick, suffocating. "Think," Ben shouted, fear creeping into his voice. "What do we do? What do we tell the others?" Sarah paused, heart racing as the memories slid into place. The insane experiments, the cover-ups that led to this moment. "We can't just leave them. We have to warn everyone about the truth." A realization gripped her. The only way to truly confront this horror was to expose it. All the layers of deceit, all the fears and whispers, needed to surface. She couldn't let it remain a secret. But before she could answer Ben, The water erupted around the dock, and the creature surged upon them once more. The enormity of its form eclipsed the moonlight, wrapping Sarah in darkness as everything around them drowned in chaos. As the ground trembled, Sarah clenched her fists, determination igniting her soul. "We are not done yet." She raised her voice, a defiant roar against despair, when suddenly silence fell. The creature paused, as if sensing her resolve, and then it spoke, its voice a deep, bone-chilling growl. "You cannot fight what you do not understand." Was it taunting her? In that moment, clarity struck like lightning. Questions raced in her mind. What depths did this creature know? And what truth lay just beneath the surface? She was about to find out as the shadows danced around her, swallowing the world in mystery. Sarah knew they had not only awakened a beast but a history, and the next chapter of their lives was about to unfold. What would that history reveal, and who would survive to tell it? The stillness shattered like glass, leaving a void where panic belonged. Sarah's heart raced, confusion swirling in her mind. The creature seemed to be waiting, as if understanding the weight of her realization. Did it just talk? Ben whispered, stilling his breath. "I don't know," Sarah replied, struggling to find her voice. "But it knows something. We need to figure this out. We can't run." The creature shifted, its massive eyes locking onto her with an intensity that pierced through the chaos. For a heartbeat, it was silent. Then, a deep, resonating voice filled the air once more. "You seek the truth, but truths can drown you." Every word sounded like thunder, each syllable echoing dread throughout the crowd. People shrank back, panic bubbling beneath their surfaces. But Sarah felt an urge to step forward, to confront the impossible. "Then let us swim," she shouted, her voice rising above the fear. "What truth do you hold? What horror have we unleashed?" The creature's form shuddered, water cascading from its scales. For a moment, a glimmer of uncertainty flickered in its eyes. It seemed taken aback, perhaps surprised by her courage. "Your kind sought dominion over the deep. Do you not see?" It growled, and Sarah felt her resolve tighten. "In your arrogance, you awaken me. Your secrets belong to me." "Secrets? Is this about the experiments?" Ben stepped up, his voice trembling yet defiant. "The military, what have they done? What is your connection?" "Connections," the creature's voice rumbled like the sea before a storm. "There is a thread that binds your fate to my kind. The blood of the innocent is on your hands. I will reveal nothing to unworthy vessels." Sarah clenched her fists. "We can make it right. Just tell us how." The creature shook its head, its expression shifting. Something between disdain and curiosity played on its features. "At what cost, little one?" A low growl rumbled again, shaking the dock beneath them. The people around her were gaping now, dividing between those who feared the beast and those who felt compelled by a desperate need for truth. That a crack in the chaos revealed an opportunity. "We know what happened in those labs. We destroyed lives, and it haunts us. Just give us a chance to fix it." A ripple of hesitation flickered across the creature's expression. For a fleeting second, its power felt less daunting, almost vulnerable amidst the fury of injustice. "Should you choose to pursue this knowledge, you must dive deeper than you can imagine. The depths will test you." "What do you mean by deeper?" Ben asked, fear lacing his tone. Suddenly, a deafening roar erupted from the ocean, reverberating off the cliffs beyond the lighthouse. The waves crashed violently, sending spray like daggers of icy water. A second creature emerged from the surf, even larger, glaring with a predatory hunger. The dock trembled beneath them. People shrieked, scrambling to find safety. "Run!" someone screamed, pushing past Sarah and Ben as fear gripped their hearts. "No!" Sarah shouted, but the horror gripped her too. How many more would die if they didn't stand their ground? "We can't let it drown us in deceit," Sarah urged, standing tall even as terror clawed at her insides. She caught Ben's gaze, the desperation mirroring her own. "We face this together." But the creature had already turned its gaze to the newcomer, a savage growl rumbling deep in its throat. "This is a battle for your kind, to witness a test for your souls. Only in understanding can you hope for survival." Ben's hand found hers. There was strength in their unity. "What do we do?" he whispered. "Fight," she declared, determination blazing in her chest. They could not let fear dictate their fate. With that, Sarah lunged toward the boat, adrenaline surging. "We're not afraid of the truth. And as the two creatures clashed in a fury of scales and teeth, the awakening of ancient secrets loomed on the horizon, threatening to swallow them whole. But even as they prepared for battle, the night held one more chilling revelation. Far beneath the waves, a darker force stirred, its intentions hidden, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. What awaited them below? And would they uncover the harrowing truth before it consumed them all? The clash erupted like an apocalyptic thunderstorm. Waves crashed over the dock, spraying salty fury into Sarah's face as she sprinted towards the boat. Each heartbeat thundered in her ears, mingling with the chaos around her. Ben's grip tightened around her wrist, pulling her back. "Are you sure about this?" He shouted over the growls and roars, his face pale, pitted with doubt. She met his gaze, eyes burning with resolve. "We can't stand by. Not now." The first creature, almost a blur in the dark, lunged at its opponent, snapping massive jaws that could crush a man in an instant. The sound reverberated through the night, drowning out screams and shouts. Sarah felt the weight of fear, but it gave it strength. She needed to confront not just the beasts but the truth hidden within the depths of the SEAS. They reached the boat. The air churned with tension. There, in the shadow of the stars, lay their vessel, small, vulnerable, yet their only chance to dive deeper into this mess. "What are we even looking for?" Ben muttered, pacing by their small craft. "Answers." Her voice cracked, but she swallowed hard. "We have to face whatever it is that the military buried." Ben hesitated. From a distance, the two colossal forces collided again, the sound rattling their bones. "And if it's worse than we imagined? Then we face it together," she said firmly. She turned, scanning the horizon. "We already let our fear dictate our past. It's time to change that." Just then, a flash caught her eye, a rippling shimmer beneath the water far out in the bay. It stirred something deep within her. "Ben, over there," she yelled, pointing. "What?" "Something down there. Look." The surface of the water stirred again, this time sending a wave crashing against the dock. The creature let out another roar, and Sarah felt the force of it tightening her chest, a visceral response to the primal chaos. Ben gripped the boat, his eyes wide. What if it's what awakened them? What if it's a trap? It might be, but sitting here does nothing. "We go." She pushed against his hesitance, her heart thrumming with urgency. With a deep breath, they clambered into the boat, adrenaline surging as she tossed out the anchor. The engine crackled to life, the spinning propeller slicing through the water like hope cutting through despair. Sarah steered into the darkness of the night, leaving the chaos behind, yet the chaos felt dangerously close. The boat steadied, gliding over the frothy waves. The weight of uncertainty hung heavily around them, yet a different urgency drove Sarah forward. Their destination loomed ahead. Shadows danced under the surface, hinting at their hidden fate. "Do you think this leads back to the lab?" Ben asked, peering into the abyss, his voice shaking slightly. "Maybe," she replied, tension thick in the air. "Or it could take us to something worse. But we need to know." Then the water roared again. A wall of bubbles erupted nearby, churning violently as shadows swept beneath them. "Look out!" Ben yelled, pointing at the disturbance. Something massive surged upward, clashing against their boat. The vessel lurched violently, nearly throwing them into the icy depths. Sarah gripped the sides, panic surging anew. The creature's eyes, luminous and intense, broke through the waves like the sun through storm clouds, haunting and powerful. It did not attack, but watched them with a haunting intelligence. "What do you want?" Sarah shouted, her voice barely piercing the crashing sound of the ocean. "It is time," it sounded, distilling the air with an eerie calm. "Time to choose." "What do you mean?" Ben responded, his voice trembling. "Choose what?" But the creature faded back beneath the surface, leaving behind ripples of uncertainty that echoed in the night. "You heard it, right?" Sarah breathed, glancing at Ben, whose expression matched her fear. Fear of the unknown yet again surfacing. "We have to find out what it means," Ben replied, resolute now as they began to float above the haunting shadows below, whose whispers clawed at the walls of their sanity. Together, they steeled their resolve. Beneath the waves, answers and horrors awaited them. What choice would they face beneath the depths, and would the truth lead to salvation or doom? The ocean stretched endlessly around them, a cold expanse that seemed to swallow every hint of light. Sarah stared down into the churning depths, her heart racing. The creature's words echoed in her mind. It is time to choose. What do we do? Ben's voice trembled, laced with fear. We go deeper, she declared, though uncertainty gnawed at her insides. She cranked the throttle, the engine roaring defiantly against the night. Waves crashed violently against the hull, but they pushed forward, slicing through the water like a knife through flesh. They ventured farther from the safety of the dock. Shadows began to twist and shift beneath the surface, as if something alive was moving below them, creeping ever closer. Sarah watched the water in trepidation, every ripple feeling as if it were alive, an arm reaching for them from the dark. What if we're walking into a trap? Ben shouted over the engine's growl, panic evident in his tone. If we don't go in, we won't know, she replied, her voice steely. Determination surged in her veins like adrenaline. They had set out for truth, and she refused to let them turn back at the first sign of fear. The boat rocked violently as another surge of bubbles erupted nearby, so strong that water splashed over the bow, drenching them both. Sarah squinted into the murkiness, trying to pierce the veil of darkness that loomed beneath. Did you see that? Ben gasped, pointing. A shape darted beneath them, a large silhouette, swift but massive. It flickered in and out of view like a ghost, an echo of something ancient and primeval. Each pulse of Sarah's heart synchronized with the rising dread that filled the air. What is that? She whispered, more to herself than him. It looks familiar, Ben muttered, his eyes wide with realization. Suddenly, the water erupted around them, and a monstrous fin sliced through the surface, splashing violently against the boat. Sarah screamed, grasping the edge as the vessel threatened to tip. Hold on, she shouted, wresting control as fear gripped her throat. They bounced violently, and Ben clung to the side, his knuckles white. Then, in a flash, the creature breached the surface. It was a monstrous hybrid, scales glistening under the pale moonlight, showing scars that told stories of battles lost and won. Its eyes, mirrors of nights filled with horrors, held a brilliance that felt both threatening and strangely inviting. Are you scared? Ben finally managed to ask, the question hanging heavily in the air. Terrified, she admitted, emotions spilling into her voice. But we can't let it intimidate us. It's not just about us anymore. The creature circled the boat, its presence commanding and heavy. It released a sound that resonated deep within Sarah's core, a low, throaty rumble that vibrated through the air. You have awakened me, it said, as though the water itself formed the words. You have brought fresh choice to the surface. Choose wisely or perish. What does that mean? Ben asked, a frantic edge creeping into his words. Maybe it wants us to decide something, Sarah said, racing thoughts spiraling in her mind. What choices were offered to them? Was this a game? A challenge? Choose what? Between letting it kill us or trusting it. She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing in the salty air, trying to quiet the storm inside her. The creature continued its slow circle, observing them with an intensity that suggested deep knowledge and rage. The moon hung low, illuminating a path of shimmering water that seemed to lead them to an uncharted destiny. We need to find out what it wants, she said resolutely. Whatever truth it holds, we have to unravel it. As they locked eyes, a chilling fear twisted inside Sarah, not just for their safety, but for what might come if they ventured deeper. Then, as if reading her thoughts, the creature surged up again, larger this time, a dark shadow solidifying in the moonlight. Decide quickly, it warned, just as the waters ripped open below, revealing a passageway that beckoned with a haunting allure. Did they dare follow? Would the path they chose lead to answers or something far more devastating? A fresh wave of uncertainty washed over them as they looked at the gaping maw of darkness below. What lay at the heart of that abyss, waiting to be uncovered? The water churned, and Sarah felt the vibrations dance through her bones. She stared into the black hole that yawned beneath the vessel, its maw eager to swallow them whole. The creature lingered above the surface, a titan of scales and sharp teeth, its gaze piercing into the depths of her soul. The moonlight shimmered off its skin, illuminating the truth. This was not merely a monster, it was a keeper of secrets. Do we really want to venture down there? Ben's voice trembled, barely audible over the chaos of the waves. Without breaking her stare from the creature, Sarah whispered, It's our only chance, though doubt flared like a flare in her chest. The atmosphere around them thickened, every second stretching into eternity. We need to find out what it means by choice. Or it could mean our end. Ben shot back, his face pale. But there was an urgency that coursed through Sarah. What if the secrets below could unlock knowledge that humanity had forgotten? We're not turning back. We need to know. She reached for the throttle again, the engine roaring as if in protest, and felt a ripple of power flow through her fingertips. The creature hesitated, a glimmer of interest flashing in its predatory eyes, and a cold chill swept over her skin. Would it guide them or strike? Okay, Ben stammered, but it was too late. The boat lurched as she punched the throttle, plunging them into the unknown abyss beneath. They descended into the depths, water enveloping them like a shroud. The glow from the surface twinkled like stars overhead, slowly fading to a deep darkness that felt alive. Shadows slithered past, flicking out of sight just as quickly as they came. Is anyone else feeling claustrophobic? Ben's voice trembled, anxiety spilling from every word. Focus, she snapped, trying to shake off her own mounting fear. They needed to pierce the heart of this mystery. The further they traveled, the more bizarre sights engulfed them. Bioluminescent creatures surrounded the moving vessel, their lights flickering like spirits tangled in a dance of desperation. Sarah's heart raced, imagining the stories each of those pulsating forms could tell, lost, forgotten, or left behind intentionally. Suddenly, the boat jolted violently. What was that? Ben shouted, panic ripping through him. Something grabbed us. Sarah roared, yanking the steering wheel left and right. A shadow shifted beneath them, and the boat shuddered with a force that nearly tossed them overboard. The creature resurfaced, its massive body gliding alongside them, eyes unblinking. Your journey is not for the faint of heart, it rumbled, dipping dangerously close. Many have ventured before you. Why? She gasped. What happened to them? The creature paused, rippling like the surface of the water, as if lost in thought. Some crossed the threshold and never returned. Others discovered truths that shattered their very beings. What truths? Ben asked, desperation crawling beneath his skin. But the creature spiraled away, laughter echoing against the walls of the abyss, a haunting melody that sent shivers down their spines. The choice lies not only in the exploration, but what you seek to unearth. The shadows danced restlessly around them, pulling at the edges of her consciousness. What had she gotten them into? Could they confront the terrifying possibilities of forgotten knowledge or perilous secrets? Sarah, look, Ben gasped, pointing. A large, ancient door materialized in the depths, its surface covered with markings that pulsed, glimmering with an otherworldly energy. Instinct took over, and she maneuvered the boat closer, heart racing. What lay beyond that door? Answers? Nightmares? The air thickened as she reached out toward the handle, an invisible current tugging at her resolve. Before she could grasp it, a deafening roar erupted from the depths, shaking the very soul of the ocean. Choose now, or lose everything. The creature thundered, its voice shattering the water's calm. The door loomed ominously ahead, and Sarah felt the weight of the decision crushing her. Which path would they take? Caution or courage? Was knowledge worth risking their sanity? And just as she swallowed her fear, the water surged violently, threatening to consume them both. What awaited them beyond the door? Would they be the next to disappear into darkness? Or could they uncover a truth powerful enough to change everything? The air crackled with tension, and time seemed to slow as Sarah's hand hovered above the door handle. The creature's roar still echoed in her ears, a reminder of the stakes. With every heartbeat, she felt the weight of Ben's gaze on her, the fear radiating from him like a beacon. Sarah, we should just go. Ben's voice was frantic, panicking under the oppressive weight of the unknown. What if it's a trap? But the door pulsed with a rhythm that aligned with her own treacherous heartbeat, as if urging her on. We can't go back now. She snapped, her resolve hardening. If we don't explore, we'll never know. With a final deep breath, she clenched the handle, pushing open the door. An icy draft washed over them, flickering the bioluminescent glow illuminating the water. The door swung wide, revealing a cavernous chamber beyond, glowing with phosphorescent crystals embedded into the walls like the eyes of ancient watchers. As they entered, the sound of rushing water faded, replaced by haunting whispers swirling around them. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and the air was thick with moisture and foreboding. Shapes flitted in the shadows. Were they memories, or something else entirely? What are we in, Sarah? Ben whispered, his voice tight. This doesn't feel right. She felt it too, an energy thrumming through the air, intoxicating and terrifying. Look at these markings. They look like a language or a warning, she murmured, tracing the strange symbols with her fingertips. Maybe we shouldn't touch anything, Ben pleaded, his eyes darting nervously. Ignoring him, Sarah pushed deeper into the cavern, lost in the pull of the unknown. The walls throbbed with an unearthly light, revealing a massive mural, a scene depicting creatures, not unlike their own some moments ago, kneeling before an obelisk at the center. It resembled the very creature that had threatened them above. Is that a depiction of what we encountered? Ben asked, his voice shaky yet intrigued. The ground beneath their feet trembled, shaking Sarah from her trance. Let us keep moving, she urged, heart pounding. The whispers grew louder, resounding in her mind like a forgotten song trying to break through. Suddenly, the chamber filled with blinding light, blaring alarms ringing out, the echoes launching them backward. A fissure appeared, splitting the ground, lurching them side by side. Stay close, Sarah shouted, grabbing Ben's arm as the chamber began to collapse around them. They stumbled toward the flickering light at the end, but just as they reached it, a powerful surge of water collided with them, pulling them back. Ben cried out, the current dragging him from her grip. Ben! She screamed, horror washing over her. In that moment, the creature burst through the surface of the chamber's pool, massive and furious, its scales glinting menacingly. You've awakened that which was meant to remain hidden. It bellowed, its voice shaking the very walls. Stop! We didn't mean to, Sarah shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. The water roiled viciously, and before she could comprehend what was happening, a more sinister form emerged beside the creature. This one bore a crown of coral, a ruler of this dark realm, the true keeper of secrets. The eyes of the two creatures met, a silent understanding passing between them as horror dawned on Sarah. Choose, Sarah, the creature's voice deepened. Your fate or his. Heart racing, Sarah looked to Ben, who floundered against the grip of the tide. The decision strained against the precious thread of time holding them. Could she sacrifice what she loved for the secrets of the universe? Or would she risk it all for a chance to save him? Caught between truth and love, Sarah felt the darkness beckon. And just when she thought the world would shatter, the very essence of reality split open, a truth that would shake the foundation of everything she believed. What knowledge would she uncover if she made the wrong choice? Would she lose Ben forever or expose an ancient reality that could rewrite humanity's story? The turmoil around them swirled, a tempest of chaos between reality and nightmare. The enormity of her decision crashed over Sarah like a rogue wave, drowning her in doubt. Ben struggled against the raging water, his face a mask of fear and determination. She could sense the clock ticking, heart racing, every second stretching painfully. Please, Sarah. His voice pierced through the roar of the abyss. Don't choose me. Do what you need to. But the conflict thrummed deep within her. The creature's eyes flickered from Ben to her, waiting for her answer, the intensity of its stare piercing into her soul. What do you mean by fate? She demanded, her voice taut. What are you asking me? The deep voice rumbled through the cavern. A choice stands before you. Your loving bonds above, or the knowledge that could unravel centuries of truth. In one world, you keep the heart. In the other, you shatter the illusion. Stop playing games with us, Ben shouted back, desperation leaking into his tone as the water threatened to pull him fully beneath the surface. We deserve to know. You don't have to make her choose. Know this, the creature intoned, its voice echoing through the chamber. It is the binding essence of your being that lies at stake. Will you sacrifice integrity for comfort, or grasp for the truths hidden beneath the layers of deceit? Tears pooled in Sarah's eyes, the weight of the world pressing sharply against her chest. It would be so easy to cling to what was familiar, to run back like so many before her. But how many had perished in ignorance? How many had been unwilling to face the truth? Beneath the waves, the cries of innocent lives lost rang back to her, urging her onward. I won't let you drown in the dark, Sarah breathed, the truth igniting within her. I choose truth. Her heart pounded as she let go of her fear, each echo of her decision rippling through the air. You want me to face the depths? Then let me face them. The moment hung, electric, before the creature surged forward, its dark form enveloping Ben. He gasped, but the weight of fear began to fade from his expression as the creature's influence enveloped him not as a death grip, but rather an awakening. Your bond remains, the creature told Sarah, equally fierce and calming. Not severed, but transformed, a testament to your courage. Sarah clasped her heart, an ache of love and loss intertwining, but hope radiated outward with strength as she pressed onward. What do you need me to do? Dive deeper into the currents of truth. Embrace the memories and horrors buried beneath the surface. Expose the lies that brought you here. With a final surge of resolution, Sarah plunged toward Ben, wrapping her arms around him. We faced this together. They were engulfed in a whirlwind of energy as the chamber began to dissolve, shadows tearing at their limbs, pulling them into the heart of the truth. Vibrant images cascaded around them, memories filled with light and darkness, revealing everything humanity had wrought upon nature, a cycle of greed and fear bringing unyielding consequences. In the torrent of revelations, she saw sailors lost to stormy waters, creatures whispered about in panic, and experiments conducted in murky secrecy. She understood now the stakes. They were not merely making a choice for themselves, but for every soul who dared to dream and manipulate the ocean's depths. The sounds of cries bubbled up, interwoven with visions of people reaching out, their hands blending into the vastness of the ocean. They were lost, yes, but not gone. We need to act, she shouted, anger and resolve spilling from her lips. They deserve to be remembered. In a surge of movement, the water erupted, transforming into light that swirled around them. The two creatures melded, weaving together their strength into a single entity of clarity, revealing the truth for all to see. Release the knowledge, the voice echoed through the chambers of eternity. Allow others to connect with the secrets you've uncovered. The world awaits your awakening. It was a calling, tangible and profound. Sarah opened her eyes, feeling the warmth of the sun on her skin, the familiar chirping of birds overhead. The chaos receded as reality settled around her. They stood back at Tranquil Bay, the ocean calm and inviting, yet shimmering with untold memories. Watching as fishermen cast their lines fearlessly once more, Ben clutched her hand. Understanding flowed between them. Their experiences were forever changed, a bond deepened by the lessons learned. Somehow, they would share this tale, this truth of the abyss, so others could heed the warning. The shadows would not remain. They had been vanquished by the light, destroying the barriers of ignorance that threatened to expand. But their journey had only just begun. The connection to the ocean, its understandings, and shared truths flowed through them. They were now its guardians and its heralds. Sarah, look. Ben pointed toward the horizon, where the sun dipped low, setting the ocean ablaze with fiery colors. It's beautiful. Yes, she whispered, and so full of promise. As they turned toward their community, determination ignited within them, lighting a passionate fire driven by purpose. A unity with the ocean transformed into something greater than they had ever imagined, a commitment that could echo through time. Are you ready? Ben asked, eyes sparkling with the thrill of adventure, heart open to the vastness of possibility. More than ever, Sarah whispered, hand in hand with the truth, ready to embrace the unknown futures that awaited. The ocean breathed behind them, vast and endless, filled with promises of stories yet to unfold. And there they stood, at the edge of something extraordinary, a shared journey just beginning, illuminating the secrets of the deep. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. You need to be in the loop. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than you know. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think comes next? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.